The first thing you should know about Mrs. Filholm. Oh no, I already fucked up. The first thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that she's famous. She amassed quite a following as an actor, and now as an author and as a comic. Of course, the climber that I am, I knew that starting a podcast with Mrs. Filholm would mean untold fame and riches for me, which is why I'm here. The next thing you should know is that this weekend, two very big fans of Mrs. Filholm flew more than 1,000 miles to spend time with her and I. Though this sort of thing happens to Mrs. Filholm all the time, it's a first for me. Spend enough time with Mrs. Filholm, and you can be famous too.
Okay. Also, you said her and I.
Oh no, we just talked about that.
Sure did.
The next thing you should know is that this weekend, two very big fans of Mrs. Filholm flew more than 1,000 miles to spend time with her and me.
Yeah.
Whoops.
The objective case.
We literally just talked about it. We're even on a funny schedule. It was only a couple days ago.
I know. All right, you ready for mine?
Yes.
The first thing you should know about my friend Andrew is that he's reliable. He shows up and he works hard. He's the kind of guy who is so known for meeting deadlines and doing things well that people tend to give him the benefit of the doubt. The next thing you should know about Andrew is that sometimes he takes advantage of that reputation. He lets a few things slip, and it doesn't occur to anyone who knows him to check his work or question him. Which might mean that our podcast doesn't get posted on time, or maybe he neglects to take a photo of Delaney all dressed up for a wedding that he specifically promised he would send me. I'm just saying.
Welcome to Half My Age, a weekly show in which a 25-year-old adult and a 50-year-old child help each other make sense of the world. Oh no, I'm in trouble today.
So much trouble.
Not only did I use poor grammar in my opening.
And you unfriended me when you first started.
I unfriended you?
Mm-hmm. You didn't start the form right. You caught yourself and started again, but you neglected to call me your friend in the opening, which always bumps me a little bit because it's like you're canceling me. My voice is bad because I was sick.
Not only were you sick, but you also had some out-of-town friends over. You've had a big weekend.
I did, and I announced a race on Saturday, and that's actually where I kind of tore up my voice, which is unusual.
You're out there tearing it up.
Mm-hmm. And it's unusual for me to have this much vocal damage after a 2-hour race. It was a quick race. So actually, I was sick. I got the stomach flu and a lot of phlegmy stuff. So I'm still recovering. I apologize for my squeaky, growly voice.
I like it. I think it's it kind of, your voice sounds like I feel. Cause
yeah, you want to talk about that?
Just briefly. Some friends of the show got married. I'm sure they've never listened, so I don't know how show friendly they are.
Can we just back up for 1 second about show friendly? Because whether they are or they aren't, the fact that our show did not drop on time was noticed because we had the fans in town visiting me. So everybody's excited to wake up on Monday morning and, listen to the podcast while we're here and wasn't there.
Oh, did you guys all listen to it together when it did finally drop?
No.
Good.
Because it was late.
It was late. I went to a wedding on Sunday night. I usually publish this thing Sunday afternoon, schedule it for Monday morning, and it didn't happen because I was in wedding mode.
I knew that. Do you remember how on Saturday night I spoke to you about, please, you're going to have to add a couple of links. So this is going to take a little bit of work for me. I was really prepping you. Plus, we had canceled brunch with you. So I was trying to give you, I didn't think I had to lay it out for you. Andrew, you have some time tomorrow morning that you didn't think you were going to have because we were going to go to brunch, but instead you came over here for dinner, which was great. So, I was talking to you about scheduling the show and you were all like, yeah. How do you like my sourdough bread? And then I couldn't believe it when it wasn't dropped.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Not just to you, but also to our listeners who are awake and ready when it drops at midnight 05 Mountain Time Monday mornings.
Nobody cares. I just couldn't believe it. Plus, no picture of Delaney specifically promised to me in her pink dress.
She looks so good.
I am sure she did. And you know what, Andrew? I saw you both on Saturday night. I haven't seen Delaney in so long. We miss each other. And I loved seeing her, and I specifically said, please send me a picture of Delaney in her dress tomorrow. And it didn't come, and you didn't take one. You told me because she didn't have pockets and you didn't have service, so nobody took their phones into the wedding celebration. I don't understand what having service means about having a phone.
Well, because
I mean,
I don't even think about. It's so funny. Years ago, I took pictures of everything. My lunch.
You did. Yeah.
The things I saw on the street.
Yeah.
Buildings, people, everything. And it's not that I haven't been taking. It is. I haven't taken any freaking pictures recently, and I don't think about my phone as a camera. I think about it as an email machine. It's basically primarily how I interact with my phone is email.
Mm-hmm.
And the same is true of text messages. Text messages I don't really pay as much attention to because most of the time they're not mission critical. Nobody needs anything.
I was wondering about that, actually, your attitude towards text message. Let's put a pin in that and talk more about, I like the fact that you are taking fewer pictures, which to me means you're living your life.
Yeah, and so we left, my phone didn't seem to work, so I just left it in the car, and that was nice because I was wearing a suit that I've clearly put on weight since I wore last.
I suppose. You got him cleaned from your trip to London senior year of college. You talked about that.
That's right. I got him cleaned. And I feel like when Jerry confronts the dry cleaner, and he says, just once I want a dry cleaner to admit that they shrunk a garment.
Oh, that's funny.
And the guy goes, all right, I shrunk it. That's how I felt when I put these pants on. I was like, there's no way.
Oh, that's funny. Well, you've been eating a lot of bread.
That's true.
You mentioned that. That doesn't help. Okay, anyway, you didn't take your phones in, and that seems, like you hashtagged Honu to me, and I thought, okay, I get it. What you're saying is I'm living my life. I didn't take a camera in.
And my phone wouldn't fit in my pocket anyway.
Mm-hmm. And also I thought that is a little bit aloha to be like, hey, I'm in the moment. And then I went, B, that has nothing to do with aloha. You promised me a picture of Delaney whom I miss. Fuck you. I don't care. I'm sure I'll see pictures because, as you just said, it will be Instagrammed, for the next several weeks, I'm sure. And I'll see it. Was the wedding a great delight?
It was a great delight. It was kind of iffy on our way up there. We were in a torrential downpour.
Oh, it was tropical here.
And then we got up there. The clouds broke for a moment. Everybody sat down for the wedding. There were people like, hey, we're trying to get this in before it rains again. We had a pretty quick service. It was beautiful. I don't know. These friends that got married, they have a lot of really attractive friends on both sides. It's one of the prettiest weddings I've ever seen.
They're both pretty people, so I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I said it was tropical down here, I mean like tropical windstorm.
Yeah, was it?
Oh, man. It was crazy. And we thought of you guys driving up to that wedding at about that time. That's wonderful that I've seen that a lot with those mountain weddings during rainy seasons where the sunshine comes out and for the 20 minutes of the ceremony, everything's fine. And then another dramatic mountain weather storm. Kind of cool.
It was cool. And the venue was beautiful. It was kind of a small little thing tucked into the trees. And then the big tent behind it for the reception. Super fun. Got to see a lot of friends I haven't seen in a long time. It was just a good time.
Did you stay up there?
No. Delaney drove back.
Okay, that was my question. Because somehow I just knew you weren't going to post that podcast because you were having so much fun.
I was. It was a blast.
Did Delaney also have fun?
She seemed to. I don't know how she could have because I feel like I drank so much that she couldn't possibly have had fun.
Uh-huh.
But she swears that I was enjoyable to be around and she had a great time.
Okay, good.
But I don't trust it. I don't believe her.
But you did debrief it.
Yeah.
I trust her. Come on. You're delightful. You were probably delightful. But you're still feeling it. You just told me right now that A, you should drink water, and B, you're happy to accept the warm water that's sitting there because you deserve it.
Right. It feels like penance.
You're doing penance for your hangover.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I hate a hangover.
I was trying to reference John Roderick, our buddy, who has this intense belief that everything uncomfortable is exactly what he deserves.
It's his personal hair shirt penance all the time. I know.
Right. And that's how I feel, especially if I stay out late and have too much to drink. I feel like, bring it on. If I got to shovel rock today, that's exactly what I need to do because I was such a bad person.
I feel like that's probably a balanced amount of, guilt or something. Because there's a way that I have in the past in my life managed a real serious guilt narrative in my head so that every day was sort of paying penance for all of the things I've ever done, look askance at a person or whatever. Be mean
That's
to my
what it means
sister.
to be Catholic, I believe.
That's correct. I mean, it is a little bit. But then you can go to confession and I guess purge it all and feel redeemed and it's a chance at redemption. But We got lawn mowing going on out there. But what you're talking about, we'll call it the John Roderick approach to just the personal hair shirt is, maybe it's a little more balanced. Like, if I have to be uncomfortable today. I did a stupid thing last night. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We can do it. Hey, back to your photos and how you take fewer of them. One of our big fans who traveled over 1,000 miles to see us, which isn't untrue about why they came, but we'll talk about those fans, is a bit of a photographer herself and said, I did look back at Andrew's Instagram account because once in our show, I begged people to do that. And she said he really is a good photographer.
Used to be.
Yeah, used to be. You are inside, Andrew. You don't lose that. You are a good photographer. Right now, you're choosing to not exercise that muscle or whatever. You're not taking pictures of your food because you're eating your food.
It is kind of a choice. Getting ready to go on a big trip tomorrow. And by the time this posts, I will have been back and my armory will be fully stocked. Robbers. But I actively chose not to take my big camera.
You did? Okay, interesting. Do you think you'll take photos with the phone?
Maybe not.
Not planning on it, yeah. Cool. I like it. I mean, it's choice. Totally fine. Totally great. I enjoy taking some photos of some things. There are often times when actually I've had so much fun with my friends that I realized forgot to document this and I would have liked a picture of tonight, you know? And I oftentimes forget that because when I'm actually in the moment. I had to remind myself all weekend to take my phone out and take pictures of the pretty awesome things that were going on, but it wasn't my first instinct because I was enjoying them. But sometimes it's fun to, I prefer not just documenting an event, but finding something funny or whatever. Like yesterday when we went on the tour of Coors Brewery, there was a sign on the door that said, do not stand within 4 feet of this door. And I ran over there and we had hard hats on. We were on this tour, not hard hats, safety goggles and vests. And I said to my cousin, quick, take a picture of me standing closer than 4 feet within that door. And that was the picture of me on that tour. And that seemed fun. So there's funny ways to document things.
That was fun. It looked like you definitely got a different tour there than I've ever had. You said you had a VIP tour.
Yeah.
And it's true. Because I've been on the tour once as an adult. I think I went once as a child a long time ago. And I think even within the public tours, there's 2 types. There's like the weekday self-guided thing.
Yeah.
And you just run through there and get to your 2 free beers at the end.
Funny.
And then there's also like the weekend
with a tour guide.
Yeah, maybe this means something. Maybe it's something special to you. You're more interested than your 2 free beers. Oh,
it was fascinating to me how many people on both kinds of tours are interested in actually how beer is made and like seeing it is actually cool and interesting and fascinating, either because they're beer people. One of the people I was with, her husband specifically likes Coors beer and Coors Light. And so like she was all into it, taking pictures for him, how it's made, Rocky Mountain water. It's brewed here versus there. Oh, all these other brands of the Coors and Miller line. The gift shop is fantastic, by the way. Buying them gifts. I mean, seriously, which of these Coors hats and T-shirts do you want? Like with great like excitement. So there are some people who are there not at all so much for the free drinks at the end. It's like, this is a cool tour. It's like a destination thing.
I'm so amazed by the scale of it all.
Yeah.
They are making beer for the entire world right there in massive quantities.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason we went to that is because it was my father's 75th birthday. The fans who came and visited us are my first cousins. And they were here. Honestly, they've been listening to our podcast. They're big fans. Wasn't that cool to meet people who've heard our whole conversation?
It is. It's nice to meet someone. And I started in with some explanation. I said, "Wait a minute, you already know. You've been paying attention," and he had been
100%. And then wanted to come out and check the kickstand to your motorcycle. And did he or did he not give you some thoughts on that?
He gave me some hot pointers. He suggested that not the nut I have, but a nut that would be a suitable
jerry rig,
a suitable replacement would be a nice nylock nut, and that's So I got to go get one of those still. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but it seems perfect.
He's bringing the ruckus right there. Nylock nut.
Well, we already knew that our fans are the smartest, prettiest,
I know,
most handy people around.
Plus, they're my first cousins, so it's genetic. We're going to have more fastener follow-up in a minute. But anyway, so these people came, and it coincided with my father's birthday and this timing of we're about to move him into his next home. And they were interested in taking this Coors tour, and my sister's husband works there. So she got us the VIP experience. He did. And the reason we moved to Colorado in 1980 is because my father got a job with Coors. He was a mechanical engineer. He came and worked, I think, on equipment on the can line, something like that, and then transferred out of that and into kind of a research and development area. So he was always doing engineering projects at Coors, and he worked there for about 20 years. And then actually his company that he and his partner founded after that was a project they bought the intellectual rights from. They were working on it at Coors to do a beer dispensing product, and then they bought the whatever rights to work on it, and then they got the patents for that and worked on it in their own company. It was a package that they had started working on at Coors and then left and did on their own. So Coors meant actually a weirdly great deal to my family and me, and that was... It brought back a lot of memories because I haven't done the tour in years and years. And when I moved here in 7th grade in 1980, for Halloween that year in Washington State, from whence we were moving, I dressed as a banquet beer for Halloween. Made the whole thing myself in 7th grade. When I lived here in high school, we dressed up my friend Susie Fairchild's car. We covered it in aluminum foil and made it a silver bullet for the homecoming parade, like caravan to the football stadium. Nobody looked askance. Can you imagine? Today, like we were high school kids. It was not so much, at that point, we were drinking beer. In 7th grade, I wasn't drinking beer. It was just like a wholesome product to me. It was where my dad was going to work. It's a little crazy. And then I posted some pictures, of course, of the tour, including me being a dumbass rebel standing so close to the door. And it was not surprising to me how many cousins and friends who visited us over the years said, I remember Uncle Mike taking me on a tour of that brewery back in whatever when we came here for our honeymoon. I remember your dad taking me on a tour, of course. It was a wholesome feeling company. They had a wellness center. We were in the ski club. My dad was in a running club. He was in a van pool. They were very dedicated to carpooling and greens. It was a cool corporate culture at the time. I don't even know if there are political ramifications of that. I don't know anything about Coors as a company now, but my, middle school, high school memories were of that. We had friends who worked there. Seriously, my dad's best friend was his partner at Coors, and then they formed a company together thereafter. So it was really, really cool to take my dad there. It was exactly as I thought it would be. He was fascinated by all of it, recognized some of it, wanted to speak to us. We asked him, we said, hey, what's going on there? In the can line where that mechanized, that's the coolest part of the whole thing, right? And he started talking. You heard him do it on Saturday night. We'll talk about that. He was definitely explaining the whole process to us with hand motions and all of this, but none of the words made a lick of sense, not a lick of sense. But there was just such recognition there. When he saw the copper kettles, he said, I haven't seen these in a long time. So there was some, there are those moments of lucidity. And he was also really cute. Like the tour guide was talking and he just folded his arms and was listening very intently. I don't know that he can hear that it makes sense to him or not, or if he's just in the habit of like, someone's speaking, now I must listen. I don't know what it was, but he was pretty easy to corral most of the time. There were a few times when he wandered or said something crazy or we had to hold him by the hand. And it's hard to get him into any car lately. It's real hard to get him into the car. He just doesn't want to get into a car. So moving him around, taking him to lunch was kind of crazy, but there was a lot of fun in it. And it was cool. It was actually really, really fun. And then the night before, we had a bunch of cousins over and friends, including you and Delaney, to celebrate my dad's birthday. And just because we had cousins in town, and you got to see it. You got to see my dad here in his. I keep saying it's his last week of freedom before he goes into captivity, but kind of needs to go into captivity a little bit because he wanders. But you got to see it. It's a fascinating thing going on with his brain. He's still partly there.
I haven't seen your dad since George, your second son, graduated from high school.
I think you saw him at my book signing last April. I know you did, but that was brief.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
You did. You literally had a conversation with him that means a great deal to me, and I have it in my heart as one of the reasons I love you, and you don't remember it, which is absolutely on point. Just saying. Go ahead. From 2 years ago is your memory of my dad.
Correct.
Alzheimer's. That's ironical.
I'm next up, apparently.
God.
And that long ago, how many years ago was that? 2 years? Okay. 2. Your dad, he looks so fit and he looks so with it.
I know it.
and the words and the actions just don't match up with the appearance of anything. And it's kind of sad to watch. I've only known him with Alzheimer's, but he's such a smart, helpful guy, and it's almost like he's betrayed by his brain. He talks in a way like everything he says, even it's always a question. It's called kind of softly spoken. And it's never, sometimes he seems pretty surprised by the things that come out of his mouth.
I know. And there are times that he can sort of, at the time you saw him 2 years ago and you said this, it was more like he would be searching for a word and he might find it or know what he said was wrong and you could help him find it. Mm-hmm. You'd go, do you mean expensive? And he'd go, yeah, that's it, So he was aware of it and it was still hard. But now it's like, I think he kind of is. Like he'll sometimes go, that's not right. But mostly he is not aware anymore that he has the disease. Mostly he is not aware. Truly. Mostly he does not know. And when he is talking, he thinks it makes sense. Not always. Sometimes it surprises him. But sometimes I think he thinks it makes sense and he is talking. And I told you guys that I just was taking him on a tour of this place and like asking him, do you think that'll work? Because he just wants to engineer, you saw it, right? A project all the time. Which, by the way, and my Lane cousins who were here, we all go, okay, that's the crack brain we're talking about. Always mind wrestling with a problem, right? Even in I talked about it, I think last week. To some degree, it's an addiction and it's a bad habit of mine is that I am going to wrestle with, I'm going to turn that thing over and over and over and over. How does that screw fit in there? How can I turn that lip of a pot? How much clay do you think it really should take to throw a mug? I'm going to sit here and think about, I'm going to fix the problem. It keeps me awake in a way that sometimes is crack brain and it's annoying. And sometimes that's when we get our best work done, right? My father clearly has that brain more than I knew. My brain works more like his than I ever knew. I have discovered this since Alzheimer's because his outer affect was not like mine. He's quieter. He doesn't externally process. He doesn't talk about his emotions or his approaches or how he feels about his brain so much. So in Alzheimer's, when it just becomes clear, I go, oh my God, I get that brain. And so, yeah, it's not his ally now. And it's just the most cruel thing to see. But as you said, he's gentle and kind, wants to help so much that it's problematic. That's part of the reason he won't get in the car is that he won't get in the car if I'm not in the car. In fact, yesterday, again, these moments, come on now. We're putting him in the car. And he said, well, I guess you could sit on my knee if you want. It doesn't come out that clearly, but he kind of got all those words out pretty lucid. And then he said, that's my baby girl. Come on now. Some of the time he doesn't recognize me. Some of the times he calls me just by my name. Most of the time I would say he doesn't really get who we are, and it doesn't matter. I've talked about that. He knows we are his. It's kind of a fluid thing. He knows we are his family or people who are important to him. But then the next minute, he'll go, what? I don't have any kids. It's just, it is just Alzheimer's disease. None of it is surprising.
It's strange how you can't settle into any kind of pattern or comfort level. He's always got you on your toes, you know?
And he is not comfortable or settled. He is actually quite anxious most of the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a pretty typical thing. It's not all Alzheimer's patients, but it's a flavor of it, which is he is anxious and still turning all this stuff over in his brain, still trying to engineer something. Oh, and that's what I was going to say. I could go, hey, what do you think of that? Is that going to work? I point to your mic stand over there in your side of the podcasting studio, brought him in there, and he says, I don't see why not. And then he rang the bell, and then he said a bunch of nonsense, but in there was the word bell. And then I took him back and showed him my kiln, and I said the word conduit, and I think stuff like that pinged something in his brain. And he stood there and said words that did not make an ounce of sense, but it was the same posture he used to take, has always taken, same cadence, what he was doing was standing there going, well, I'm not sure that, I guess that could come in. Of course, the thing is, you're probably going to want to vent that. Well, I don't like the way that vent is close to the wall there. I don't know. Let me look up at the thing. I think you could probably run he was saying those things or similar, in his brain, but they were coming out just complete nonsense. But it was such a familiar thing. This man, this engineer who is always solving problems, trapped in this brain that can't put on a shoe anymore. You noticed, right? His shoes are on the wrong feet.
I didn't notice.
Oh, somebody said it. Maybe it was the cousins. And I'm glad that my mom is at the point of not caring doesn't matter if his shoes are on the wrong feet. Just, let's get out of the house. There was a great time there when stuff like that would really,
Or you couldn't leave the house.
My mom wouldn't. Yeah, my mom wouldn't let him leave the house because he didn't, put on a nice shirt for church or whatever. And and that's the thing. We're getting close to. We're just days away from, the real, our next phase of life. It'll be good. But anyway, thanks for coming over, Andrew. That was, as I said, we were planning on brunch so that you could meet our big fans who truly did want to meet you. But you were, see, that's the thing. I knew you were, also, you're prepped for the wedding. You had to prep for the whole day so you couldn't do podcasting. You had gotten matching, manicures and pedicures the day before. What was this, the royal wedding, and you were important guests? Because you did a lot of prep for that wedding.
Delaney wanted a manicure and pedicure, and she wanted some company because it's a big, scary thing.
Okay, that I will agree with. But it was for the wedding. You just did a lot of prep for this wedding, Andrew. And I gave you extra space for not having brunch on Sunday, thinking maybe I'll give them space to do the podcast, but that didn't happen. Anyway, I wasn't trying to diss you right now. I was trying to say thank you very much for coming over, because what I offered you was, hey, come on over to a crazy family party with too many people and my father who has Alzheimer's disease. And you said, okay, and you did show up. And by the way, you brought sourdough bread, which was almost entirely devoured immediately. It was really good.
I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out.
It was great. It was really good. And seriously, everybody had eaten dinner, right? And I think had already had birthday cake, or maybe we were about to have birthday cake. Was it before the birthday cake? It was before
the birthday cake.
So I brought it out and said, nobody wants sourdough bread. And everyone went, yes, we sure do. And it was still warm. I believe you shoved it on my back in aluminum to prove that it was warm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it didn't burn me, so that's good. Was it that warm?
It was close. I literally, I told Delaney, I said, I told Mrs. Filholm we'd be here at 7. This bread is going to be done at 7. Can we get all of our shoes on, our coats, and our jackets so that we can pull this thing out of the oven and run to the motorcycle because we're already late? And she's a trooper. She's like, heck yes, we can do that.
Yes.
And we did, and we got there. And it was
benefit
so hot.
is it's so warm, like literally out of the oven 20 minutes. It's amazing. Probably just cool enough to even eat. You got to let it cool down a minute. It was perfect. We got out butter. It was delicious. I do want to hear about your bread baking process because that goes back to how your weekend began, really. Your Friday night was your bread baking in the middle of the night, I believe.
That's correct.
Then Saturday, then Sunday wedding. You've had quite a 3 days, son.
I have not had a lot of sleep recently. And we're going on this big trip, and I'm hoping that at some point, we gave ourselves enough days. Hopefully there's a day where we can just have a lay-in.
Lounge around and relax on your vacation.
Right.
Yes,
but
sir.
The bread baking, I love the idea of being a baker. I like the idea of going to work at 3 a.m. and getting all your stuff done, early in the morning and being done at 2 in the afternoon. That all sounds nice. It sounds very blue collar, kind of honest.
Yeah, I was going to say
toil.
Nice. Does it sound nice? It sounds like honest toil, but it sounds like it's toil.
It sounds romantic when you consider I just push a keyboard all day and
I see.
It's I crave some degree of manual labor. My dad keeps saying, "Hey, you're so interested in mowing the lawn. Why don't you come over and mow the lawn?"
I know.
I probably should.
I feel that when I was working an office job, I used to look out at the university and see the guys like repairing the pipe in the sprinkler system. So they were basically digging ditches, and I would go, I could do that. I could do that 8 hours a day. That would feel like honest work. So I feel you. Yeah.
Some days that seems like this solution to all of the problems.
Mm-hmm.
But
it might be, but go ahead.
Baking bread, especially sourdough, is a long process.
Is it longer sourdough than others?
Yeah, because so when you're baking with manufactured yeast or I don't know, whatever, I think it's probably a lot more potent and quick, and you can do a rise in less time. So
yeah, you can force it with sugar and stuff. Yeah.
This process, you put all your stuff together, and then you let it sit for a half hour, and then you knead it, and then you let it sit for 4 hours, and then you shape it, and then you let it sit for 12 hours. Mm-hmm. So depending on when you start this...
Wait, after the 12 hours, then do you punch it down, knead it again, and put it in the oven, or you just put it in the oven after 12-hour rise?
After 12 hours, you just put it in the oven.
That's the rise, and you don't touch it, you stick it in. And then how long does it take to bake?
It takes... so you do this, you put a Dutch oven in the oven, and you do it inside the Dutch oven, and you spray some water in there so you get a good steam going.
Sure.
And you steam for 25 minutes, and then you take the top off and let it that crust develop for another 25 minutes. So it bakes for 50 minutes.
Unbelievable. Believable. Okay, I've baked bread, so I understand this process. But then tell us how it went down for you on Friday night.
It went down fine. I was kind of hoping. So in all this going on, you can choose whether you want to bake bread on Saturday or Sunday. You can't do it on Friday because you have to prep on Wednesday. Like there's just a whole timeline to getting this thing right and getting the timing right. So, based on whenever I decided to do I guess it was Friday night. Yeah, that's what you said.
Well, what Delaney told me is that drunk, you decided to start. And so then what happened because of all of the steps that you just described hitherto, you were like knocking around at 3 a.m. I mean, set your alarm at 3 a.m. It reminds me exactly of getting up to do the reduction in the kiln at 3 a.m. It's so like being a potter or a baker, in fact, with the ovens and stuff. So what I understood to happen is that you made kind of a goofy decision to start when you started, which required you to be up throughout the night kneading your bread and all of it. And I find it hilarious and delightful, really.
It is delightful. It's a project. It's a manual thing. When I finished, so this is my second loaf. The first time I made this bread, my whole arms were sore from like the tips of my fingers up to my shoulders because it's a part of. I mean, even if I was working construction, these are still muscles you don't use for anything else.
From the kneading?
From kneading bread.
So funny because it's I wedge clay all the time. Mm-hmm. So I probably would be fine with those muscles. That wouldn't be new. I mean, listen,
you'd probably be fine. What you really need is a stand mixer, but I don't have one.
Oh, yeah. I like getting my fingers in it. But, I mean, I'm not saying there are things that like cleaning out my refrigerator is using muscles that I don't use. And I get like, because I'm squatting or something weird. So I'm just saying I understand that. But that's funny that kneading bread hurt your shoulders. Well, Delaney just seemed a little alarmed about the timing and the alarm going off in the middle of the night and that you were kneading bread. But it was perfect bread.
It was. I made, there was one error in this bread, which is I made my starter with whole wheat flour, which was recommended by all the people because there's supposed to be more of the grain in there, which means you get more of the natural environmental yeast in there, which is what you're looking for in a starter. But when you bake it, you're supposed to use just plain old bread flour. Mm-hmm. And I think it calls for like 4 cups of flour or something. And 2 of those flours in the final bread were whole wheat flour because I just wasn't thinking and I used the wrong one.
Right. So your bread looked a little bit unique. It wasn't as white as normal sourdough, but it was exactly as fluffy and crusty. It was perfect. And as I said, it kind of looked like an artisanal loaf. Mm-hmm. Is that the right one? Because it was a little bit rustic looking. So, I mean, already you've branched out and done something cool with it, which I appreciate. But I did ask you, how could you confuse brown flour for white flour, for bread flour? And that's what you said to me. Well, I was drunk.
I was drunk, and I was also, the 2 are right next to each other, and I used the brown flour every day to feed it, to feed the starter. It was just going over to grab the flour kind of.
I know, but you explained it.
And it was also 3 a.m, by the way.
That's correct. I know, all of it is so freaking funny and so familiar to me. And of course, I was also up at 3 a.m. doing something insane. I can't remember what it was, but we all thought, well, maybe we should check in. I would like to know more, please, about your Dutch oven.
It was a gift. Delaney's sister gave us a Dutch oven recently when she moved.
Was it because you were going to bake bread?
No,
it was just cleaning out her kitchen?
She was moving into a place that had a Dutch oven. That came with a Dutch oven.
It's amazing.
Her boyfriend has I think he's got a nice Le Creuset Dutch oven.
I thought you were going to say like she no longer needed a Dutch oven. She was moving into a place that didn't allow a Dutch oven. That could have gone. But anyway, it came with it. That's funny too. How big is it?
The kind of the standard size. I don't know. It's like probably 6 inches.
Is it that
5 or 6 inches deep?
What's the material?
Enameled cast iron.
Yeah, perfect. Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
I do like it. I bet I don't have one anymore. I bet that's something I left behind. That's going to be a problem, Andrew. I'm going to have to get it because you did bring me starter. Thank you. I had to stick it in my fridge because I don't have flour. Mm-hmm. I also realized this weekend while I had guests in my house, by the way, we'll talk about that. A lot of people in the Dollhouse. I realized I don't have birthday candles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got some shade for using a tea candle.
I did get some shade. Thank you.
Like he has Alzheimer's, he doesn't know anyway. Come on.
Correct. It was from my dad. And who else? Even if you didn't, Andrew, if I put a tea candle, it looked kind of classy on your birthday cake and brought it out to you, you'd probably be fine with it.
It's nice because the wax doesn't melt on.
Correct. Well, I thought it was classy of me to do it that way instead of just setting a votive on there. No wax. And also, like, Nobody past the age of what, like 10, needs anybody to have candles and sing happy birthday for them. So this is all performative, right? Right? I got shade.
It was very sweet.
Thank you. It was very sweet.
My favorite part of the evening was moments before you were inside preparing the cake.
Yeah.
And everyone else is sat around the table in the West Portico, which is tiny, by the way.
Just too many people.
The Dollhouse is not built for parties of more than 3 people.
We're going to talk about that. Yes, it is. Go back.
But
carry on.
We're sitting around this table and it's kind of quiet and your dad says, everybody take their clothes off.
Oh, God, I know.
So
that's
funny.
Right, you told me that. Everybody take their clothes off. I know it. He says stuff like that and maybe he means it. Who the heck knows? Oh, my God, that's so funny. Okay, I don't have birthday candles, and thank you for noticing. I feel like I got shade for them. I'm like, why the hell would I have birthday candles, and who cares? I don't have ketchup. We learned that. Rafiki brought some. I think she let me keep it. I don't have a funnel. I don't have a proper wire whisk that pleases me. It's not big enough.
I don't have a whisk.
I don't, not at all. I have a little one. And I don't have a Dutch oven, and I know now that I don't have canning supplies, but whatever. Dude, this house is so beautifully made. You have not been to a proper party here. That wasn't a party. That was a bunch of family people sitting around in a way that frustrated the hell out of me. This, when normal people come over to this house and come back here for a party, it is the perfect party. Ask your brother and Nikki, because you come back and there are all of these areas, as you know, I've created for conversation, for retreat, shade, sun, fire. They're all the areas. Places to put your drinks, places to have an activity, places to go off on your own if you need a quiet place. There aren't enough bathrooms at this house. That's for darn sure when you have more than 3 people here. But, I mean, it's actually wonderful. The lighting is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous party space. For some reason, some members of my family, my mother and my sister, insist on like sitting. By the way, I hate that approach to any party, like banquet table, where everybody just sits around one long table and that's supposed to be a party, a dinner party. No, bad. Go to little tables and gather around and mingle. If you're sitting there at a banquet table, you get to talk to 2 people, your right and your left, right? And we don't have a banquet table. We have the West Portico, and we had 13 people in there. Indeed, it is not made for more than 6. 6 people can comfortably sit in there and eat at a table and have a proper dinner, and it is great because it's screened in. And there were mosquitoes that night, which sucked.
I'm still fighting bites. I'm itchy all over.
But the other option is go inside then. It was perfectly nice inside as well. You know what I mean? People wanted to hang out outside and be bitten. They didn't want to spray on the poison spray. Whatever. I lit the citronella. The fire it didn't really much control it. It was weird that we had mosquitoes. But I'm just saying, it was a weird party glut that everybody was sitting in there, so I did what I could. In fact, you know what? I was brilliant, because what I did say to move you and Delaney out of there,
go start a fire.
I said, Andrew, do you want to start a fire?
And there's nothing more appealing. There's a lot of things that are more appealing, but nothing more fun.
You really will never say no to that, and thank you for doing that, because you did me a great service. It was on my job list.
I love lighting fires.
You burned all my important documents.
That's right. Maybe you're weird in this, or maybe you're totally normal. She just gave me like 3 months of unread mail, unopened mail, and said, please burn all this. And it was kind of satisfying, but I'm glad
worried about it.
I'm glad it's yours and not mine.
First you said you were worried about it. I told you what was my response. Delaney agreed with me, but she does keep her mail.
You said you've got electronic copies of all of it.
I've got electronic of all of it.
But how would you know? You never opened it anyways to see what it was.
It says right on there, your quarterly statement, Charles Schwab. I have it on the email. I keep telling them not to paper send me shit. They keep sending it. I have files from years and years that Tal dropped off, like box. Why do I need the paper? It's all electronic. I mean, I know it is.
It gives me anxiety not opening it.
I know it gives you anxiety not opening it, but Delaney could understand. I'm just saying we bonded on that point. I know it does, and I shouldn't admit it in public, but we did. So you burned all that stuff, and you did tell me at a certain point you were worried. I explained it to you, and you did congratulate me on my aloha for not caring or giving a heck about it and burning it all up. And see, then it was burned up, so I didn't have to worry about shredding, which I hate. It just seems time-consuming, and
shredding is the worst.
Oh, so burning seems better. So you said you have a box of stuff to burn. Feel free. Feel free.
I've got 2 years of shred material that need to be burnt.
This is an official invitation to have your own bonfire back here because it's super fun. Thanks for lighting the fire. It was an excellent fire. And thanks for being nice to my daddy and my whole family. And you said it's nice to see Mrs. Filholm in context.
It is.
We agreed that my cousins, aren't they cool? Our fan cousins, Brad and Jessica,
cool,
aren't they
cool.
awesome? And aren't I in context?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one time when Brad and I were like sitting the same way and
He
like
said
this?
that's a Grandpa Wally
And everybody
thing.
says that's Grandpa Wally thing. And they're all agreeing. And like, oh, yeah, right. I told it to my cousin Annette last night. She's like, oh, yeah. I used to like going to church in Moses Lake, Washington, where my dad and his family grew up, and a lot of them stuck around for various times, and so many of them are still there. And she's like, at Sunday Mass, you'd see whichever collection of our uncles were here, and they're all standing the exact same way and holding their bodies the same way. And I mean, you look at Jessica, she is super fit right now, and she looks amazing, but that's my same body. I mean, it's pretty funny. We make a lot of sense when I'm in context, yeah. And they're awesome, and they took care of me. I was sick yesterday. They actually brought me chicken soup. It was amazing. And Bradley fixed so much crap in my house. He secured my strike plates so my locks are more safe.
Mm-hmm.
He fixed the swing of the door to the west portico. He totally fixed the swing of my front gate, which is amazing. He did a bunch of other things. Also, paid handyman. I have new plumbing under my sink. Yes, I have a new garbage disposal, and big life-changing news that I haven't had to use because of the torrential downpour. I have a spigot in my backyard now.
How did he lay that pipe? Where did it come from?
It was real cool what he did, because I assumed it was going to have to come from the front of the house. And what he did is he crawled around in my crawl space. Oh, he also had to wear my pink and purple headlamp because he had left his at his real job. I said, do you want a headlamp? Because, oh, yeah, I forgot mine. I'm like, here you go. So he wore it around, kind of like grumbling about it, but who cares? He pulled it right from the bathroom, which is on the outside wall of the house. He just tapped into the bathroom right there. Boom. I mean, to me, it seemed easy. I think the man...
He makes it look easy. If I was doing that job, it'd be a 3-week job.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly right. He's a real plumber. But I mean, the ease of it for me and the money that I paid him seemed completely reasonable. I do think the man hurt his back working under there in my crawl space, so I feel really bad.
Probably from the heft of your pink headlamp.
No, it's light and airy, Andrew. It's the crawl space.
Yeah, but
it is such a bad scene down there.
It's not the actual weight of the headlamp; it's the emotional weight.
Yeah, that's probably right.
You'll be walking like Quasimodo after you wear that thing around.
Come on, I hope I didn't hurt his feelings. Anyway, Andrew, I have this spigot in the backyard. The hose machinations I have had to do at this dollhouse to have my amazing gardens and all of it. I mean, it's great. I've worked it out. But, oh my God, there's just I'm going to show you. It's the sexiest thing you've ever seen. Check it out. Just water right there. Because this house came with one spigot in the front. I'm surprised that previous owners didn't do this, because it seemed so easy for this plumber guy to do it. And they had a pool back here, an above ground pool that they had to fill. And they were doing that with hoses run from the front yard. Just seems crazy. So anyway, I'm really excited about that. I really feel like the dollhouse is getting better, because now that I've lived here, there are these little things that it's like, yeah, that's not great. I mean, the garbage disposal broke. Mm-hmm. The plumbing in the sink in the bathroom was janky and backing up. Possibly we're going to have to look at the bathtub next. I mean, the thing is that I think I got some work for this handyman. I was just today before you got here staring at where I think I'm going to do new pavers. I mean, I know I am going to do something because I'm killing that part of grass. And I was sitting there doing that engineering thing where I was just staring and staring. By the way, it was interesting watching the plumber do that same thing, both looking at my plumbing, mm-hmm. and then I went to the hardware store with him so I could just pay for the materials, right? And he's standing there. It was just funny. There were these moments where I'm like, are you having a seizure? He just got real quiet, just thinking. I mean, in a way that, like I said, I completely understand. And in fact, lately when I've just been thinking and people ask me, am I okay or whatever, I just kind of want to go, I'm working here. Which I did say one time out on the comedy hang. I was listening from outside to a comic inside, and a homeless woman or whoever, a zombie going by, was asking if she could have money or cigarettes or whatever. And normally I'm pretty like, oh, sure, if I have something, whatever. And I like brushed her away and went, I'm working here, and pointed at the stage, because I was listening to another comic. I was just standing outside, outside, and I said, I'm working here. And that's pretty funny.
That is funny.
That's all I have to say about comedy. Just so you know, because Brad kept telling me that,
2 minutes.
2 minutes. That was fun hanging out with people who know our podcast and love us. And I had another friend say that, she really wants to meet Andrew. And she said, I just know that I'll fangirl him and talk all about the podcast. And is that annoying? I would think you guys would like that, right? I'm like, yeah, that's just fine, because the irony of your opening is how we're not famous, and it's still pretty gratifying. I'm still looking at these two cousins of mine whom I love with all my heart and going, I don't really get why you're listening to this podcast, right? It's a little weird. Maybe we help people.
Maybe. Wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, it does occur to me, the Alzheimer's stuff that we've been talking about lately, it doesn't seem funny, but you know what? I've been hearing a lot of other people probably, actually in weird places that I'm not seeking it out. It's not like because I'm signed up for the Alzheimer's walk or something. Just people talking about the way their lives have been affected by it, or people they've known, or people newly going through it. And like one thing I heard lately is a woman or a couple of people saying, it's what we talked about in our last episode, like, I'm grieving my divorce, but I'm also grieving. So this is through that Diversity Club rebuilders class, and people I'm meeting in new classes and stuff. I'm conflating, my father's death or my mother's Alzheimer's disease or the dementia with the grief of my divorce. I mean, I've heard that recently more than once, and it's like, that's what I was talking about. So maybe there's something relatable on this dumb podcast.
I should hope so.
I should hope so. Okay, I do have some fastener follow-up. That was another thing Brad did, Andrew. Remember how I said by the time this episode airs last week, it would all be taken care of? True story. Brad Lane went to the fastener store with me, Home Depot. But even so, I mean, it was not like he's a total master and got the right thing, but it wasn't like you just walk in and, I mean, he had to figure it out.
It's the process. You got to stand and look at the display for 5 minutes.
And dig through some drawers.
Hey, I'm working here.
That's right. Hey, totally. Think. And then I hadn't told him I brought the part, and I said, I need 4 of them after he grabbed 2. And he's like, oh, God, now I got to go dig through that drawer again. And it's just stunning to me.
It's not easy.
These tiny little things that literally hold our lives together. It shouldn't be that hard. You know what I mean? To replace the things, I don't know. It's still stunning to me and somehow metaphorical. That these little tiny things can make a thing worthless, a thing we need. I don't know. Just it strikes me as somehow metaphorical.
It's definitely, there's something there for sure.
My dad used to say, like, if I was going to upgrade from my 3-speed bike to my 10-speed bike, my dad would say just more things to go wrong. Right?
Sure.
If you're going to go from an manual to an automatic transmission, just more things to go wrong, more things I don't understand. There's computers in cars now, prefer the mechanical systems, right? And I think about that a lot when I do things like, recently I just ordered, and it's going to be delivered, I believe, tomorrow, a portable ice maker.
Sure.
That seems like a real weird thing, but we decided it's going to be awesome. Out in the West Portico, I don't have an ice maker.
Right. If you don't have an ice maker, you need one of those.
Do you?
Oh yeah. Working with ice trays sucks. I need way more ice than that.
Thanks. Plus, they suck. First, what I was going to do is
it's
look
90 degrees out every day.
Right? I was going to look up, or just obviously maybe get some silicone ones because there's got to be a better way, because my ice cube trays actually fight with them. And I pretty regularly empty out ice trays, and I have a bin in my freezer because I don't have an ice maker. That's obviously the problem here. And fill it up. So I always do have an ice bucket in my freezer, but then the whole thing, and I'm having the party in the West Portico. The cooler's great right there. I can always buy ice, but just having ice at your disposal. I think I'm going to put it out there in the West Portico. You just have to fill it. It doesn't need a water line. Mm-hmm. Although now that I have this plumber who's so awesome, I bet I could hook up oh my God. What if I hooked up like a professional one? Yeah. Like a restaurant one, and ice chest?
I've been in 2 places where we had commercial ice makers.
2 places? What do you mean?
Once as a job and once in the fraternity house I lived in.
You did.
Commercial ice makers are awesome.
Awesome. Also, if it's 100 degrees, there's no question about how you get cool. You just stick your head in there for a second.
If you've got 20 pounds of ice at the ready every moment of the day, think how that changes your outlook on the world. You're ready for anything. There's nothing you can't handle.
That guy just hooked up the water line to outside. I just feel like it'd be one step for just pipe me in a commercial ice maker like right out here on the side of the house.
I feel like that's something you can find on Craigslist. So you might find some restaurant going out of business that wanna unload their commercial ice maker for no money at all.
Okay, you're right, and that. I'm probably not going to look at that, but it would be interesting. But what I was actually imagining is it would be cooler to have like there might be a very small one. There's got to be businesses that have very small ones. I don't actually want the one that's the size of 2 refrigerators. You know what I mean? I don't have room for that on the grounds. But like half size or quarter size one of those, You're right. It might be. Some restaurant might be oh my God. Okay. That's really not the next.
With all your zombies, you're going to need a padlock for that thing. You don't want them coming and cooling down.
And that really just encourages them, doesn't it? I mean, as we discussed, really what I need to be investing in my time and money. And gosh, it's noisy at the Dollhouse today.
It's more guns.
No. A life-size Sacred Heart of Jesus statue or a crucifix with the corpus stretched out, like as graphic as can be, to maybe prevent them from being there. We'll see. I don't know. Go ahead.
During this party, did you get any feedback on your idea? Did people think it was a good idea or a bad idea? Is it going to make a difference?
The party at my house?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't really talk about it at the party, but I did talk to my cousins about it. I talked to my handyman plumber about it. He was the one who suggested that I might just be disappointed because they might slash up whatever I put out there or deface it, and that would make me more disappointed in humanity. I think people think I'm crazy when I bring it up, but I...
Crazy like a fox.
I mean, right.
Crazy like a lady who doesn't have junkies screwing in her backyard.
Exactly. Right? But, they think I'm crazy about it. And I am working on show notes for last week now where I'm putting those podcasts in there. I'm telling you, there's at least a couple of examples about something similar here. So I'm working on a thing here. I'm looking at changing security systems, Andrew.
Is that a big lift?
I think it might be. I don't know. I'm looking at it right now, and I spent a little bit of time today. I'm supposed to call the guy today. I'm not at all happy with their customer service, as we know, the company that I have used, because I had that terrible call. But also, it's not good. The customer service isn't good. I do feel like mostly stuff works, but right now, like my doorbell isn't telling me when it rings. Things are not good, and it's hella hard to get a service tech out here, which seems real problematic. There's a company that's doing a kind of DIY. You pay like $14 a month and we just send you all the stuff and it's not hardwired into your phone. I might show it to you because I can't tell if it's going to be good or not. It's like this, you're paying for a racket. This is a company that sponsors a lot of podcasts. That's how I heard about it. So that means it's good, right?
I have no idea. I can tell you that I don't have the time to wire in a home security system for you.
No. You don't have to wire it in. It's like here's your hub. You plug it in, and it's. I guess I got to figure out how, because if Wi-Fi goes down, then it goes down. And I think that my current system. I think if my electricity goes out, it goes out, which is. Probably. Anyway, right. So no, it's the opposite. It's more like the Eero system where they're saying like this is out of box. You don't have to hardwire anything. You can have a service tech of ours come for $80, which to me might be worth it. Or you can literally do this yourself. No, you put a thing here, you put a sensor here, you put a thing here.
I mean, it's more than just a camera that you can look at. You've got a punch in code and they get alerted if you don't punch in your code
and they say that they have the fastest response time for the police and fire. I mean, that's what they're bragging about. So I've looked up a little bit of reviews and it seems legit. I don't know. I mean, what it has is like, it's got sensors and a siren and the call to the police. I think the camera systems are less advanced and I don't think they have a smart doorbell. And I can't decide how much I need that. I mean, I have used the feature.
You've already used it to solve a crime.
I mean, that's right. I've used it to solve a crime, but really, honestly,
you've only been in the Dollhouse for so long. Can you imagine how many crimes you're going to solve?
Okay. I'm going to go back to that because you just said something that I actually wrote down as a note. You said you've only been in the Dollhouse for so long and have been in the Dollhouse for a measurable amount of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know right then you just didn't think of it, but I wrote this down because in several recent episodes you have said, like, your parents have been married for Lord knows how long. And I have two questions about this little turn of phrase that you use quite frequently.
Because I don't remember.
No, you not remembering is fine, obviously. But Lord knows how. I mean, it is a knowable thing. Your parents have been married for I don't know how many years. I don't know. It's just, where did you get that turn of phrase? My first question is, why do you use it when it's a knowable thing? You said something recently like we've been doing this podcast for Lord knows how many episodes. Like, well, it's a knowable thing, and actually we do know, and we can look it up. So it's a funny thing that you say to me. I'm not throwing shade. I'm curious. And where did you learn it? 25-year-old who talks like an 80-year-old man. Is that your grandfather's thing?
I don't think so.
Where'd you learn that?
Couldn't say.
Well,
I have no idea.
Isn't that funny? You say it sounds like it's.
I say it all the time.
You do.
There's so many things I don't know that I can't remember or call to mind.
Okay, but Lord knows how long seems like that's an unknowable thing, which is a different thing than I can't remember it or I don't know it.
It probably feels less mean to myself. Like this is an impossible thing that nobody can know.
To know. So I am off the hook for not knowing it in this moment.
That's right.
That's funny. That's obviously not that deep, but I wonder where you picked up that little turn of phrase.
I couldn't say.
I know, you couldn't. I wonder where you picked up I couldn't say. Because that's also a funny little idiomatic thing. Yeah, okay. It's not interesting to you. It's interesting to me. I said something recently and I remembered where I had picked it up and it was just like a cool thing. Because I feel like I collect phrases and expressions from people as I go along and sometimes I adopt them as my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know that.
I did something recently where I went, oh, that was from my friend, whatever it was. I can't remember it now, but it was like, that's nice. That's a nice little like reminder of that person because I picked up this thing they say.
It's been a long time since anyone said that I am the product of my 5 closest friends or whatever, or the people who you talk to most. So it's like Delaney, the people I work with, my parents, my brothers. So somewhere in that little collection of people is the solution to this Lord knows business.
I agree. You don't think it's your grandpa? I think it sounds like a grandpa thing.
No, he's more
Lord knows.
he's more to the point than that.
Yeah, okay. It may be from something. It may be from it may be from a show.
Could be.
It might have filtered in. It doesn't. I suppose this is boring. I thought you were going to tell me where it came from, and I was real interested.
I wish I knew.
I know because it's funny.
Now I'm second guessing the things that come out of my mouth because that is a natural,
Andrew.
that is an instinctual thing I say.
There is nothing wrong with it. Can you please let yourself off the hook? My God, you really are in self-flagellation mode because of your hangover. You don't have to drink warm water, and you shouldn't judge everything that comes out of your mouth. I am simply curious. It's fine. It's fine. I just found it funny, especially the one where it was something that you and I both know or could know, which is we've been doing this podcast for Lord knows how many months or whatever it was. It was like, well, just count them.
I don't remember. Did it start in December?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how many episodes?
So it's September now, 9, 10 months.
Oh my God. And what did you just say it about now that made me bring it up? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Oh my God. Andrew, I'm not giving you a hard time. You're sensitive.
I am a little sensitive.
You're feeling raw because you're still hungover.
I need 5 days away from the computer and...
You need some Honu time.
Mm-hmm.
You need some chill. But please, Mrs. Filholm is never the one bringing you down, duh. Right?
Always lifting up.
I mean, I give you a lot of shit. In fact, my cousin Jessica was mocking my knife skills so hard. Like she kind of pulled the knife out of my hand when I was cutting up a pineapple because she thought I was going to cut my fingers. And I went, oh, well, what I actually said was I don't cut my fingers on knives very often. I mean, sometimes everybody's done it, but I don't cut my fingers on knives very often. I cut my fingers in a lot of other ways. She didn't find that an acceptable answer. She practically took the knife out of my hand and said, just let me cut the fruit. And I wasn't offended at all. It was like, great, awesome, do it. And then I realized I wasn't offended because that is exactly the kind of way that like I might treat you or other people I love. Like, oh my God, just give it. Oh God, just what are you doing? And anyway, so it was like good to know that I'm not offended by that either. Like, thanks. She made a delicious fruit salad and Knife Skills, the podcast came out 2 days later. We hadn't even talked about it yet, but when she saw that was the actual episode, she said, wait, I could have given Andrew a lesson right here. And I sort of said, I think I mentioned that on Saturday night, but everybody just wanted to crowd around that one table in the West Portico. We could have had she's Knife Skills pro.
I believe it. Your family seems to be extremely capable.
Yeah, right. I was just thinking, of course, a Lane girl has knife skills.
You put all of the lanes together, and there's not a problem that can't be solved.
That seems 100% right.
It's kind of like Ocean's 11. You've got the demolition expert. You've got the knife skills
lady.
Only
we were criminals. We can't be criminals.
Who's to say that like some other side of the family isn't criminals?
Good point.
And anyone got money you can't explain?
Nope. It's pretty. I mean, maybe, yeah. No, you're right. That's funny. I mean, I'm trying to think, are there any? No, it's kind of true. You get that giant family. I mean, it is like that's just a statistical likelihood as well because you get that many people in an immediate family, 9 kids and all of their descendants and now all of our descendants. I mean, you got a lot of options. But no, it's true. We have like, really. Yeah, no, you're right. There's probably nothing that's interesting. That's hilarious. Sometimes my cousins and I have joked about buying either my grandparents' house that they lived in that we all have fond memories of. And that's funny too, because Jess and Brett are a little younger than I am. So we have slightly different memories of the basement on Admiral Road. It's kind of cool. But all memories of that same town. We talked about the cousins chipping in, buying it as like a vacation property and everybody gets a week a year or whatever, because it is kind of a cool, it's not really a cool place, but it's a place where we have a lot of fun memories.
It's special to you.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's amazing because there's the ditch right there that you can go swimming in and there's a lake in that town. And I mean, it's in the middle of a desert in eastern Washington, but so many of my memories are there, and all my cousins. So, it's pretty cool. And then, that was where the Christmas tree farm was. You're right. The Lane family is pretty bad.
They've got a lot of bases covered.
Of course, a Lane girl would know how to have knife skills. One of us would, and some of us would have other skills. I still don't really have fastening skills. I don't have plumbing skills, but I'm not kidding. That is the adult me, Andrew, probably thanks to this podcast, going, you don't need to have plumbing skills, girl. I mean, really, that's not something I want to. I want to know all about it.
This podcast, there are two competing forces. One side says you have to have plumbing skills. Why do you not have every plumbing tool that's ever been invented? You're not prepared. You're not ready. And there's the other side that says, ooh, I really can't focus on getting plumbing skills right now because I got other things to work on.
The adult part, that's exactly right. That comes up and says you do need to focus on what color is your parachute. And you do need to, that's right, discipline yourself to make some adult decisions, even though the thought of building you a machine shop or me learning plumbing is real interesting. One thing that made me realize, though, that maybe I was glad I didn't ever go into plumbing, because it's not a new thought, was the smell. Sure. After he opens all the pipes and it's just sitting there while we go get a new pipe, and then the sewage, the
smell sucks. And also having to fit yourself in such tight places. He's always climbing underneath houses. He's always... It doesn't seem like a very comfortable job.
No, I know, but it's we are only as comfortable as we deserve, Andrew. So I guess if I became a plumber, I would figure that was my punishment and lot in life. Plus, I like to be dirty, so I always thought it would be kind of cool to be.
I hope he doesn't think about being a plumber as a punishment.
Well, I know. I hope not too. He is a commercial plumber, and he did mention this is why I got out of residential plumbing, because now he lays new plumbing in new buildings, right? So he's not dealing with so much of that crap, and I think he's working out in the sun sometimes and all that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe, I don't know if it brings him joy or not, but right now it's bringing him extra money, and I'm sure appreciative. I don't know, though, that physical work isn't... I'm too old, I guess, but maybe I should just go get a job digging ditches. I don't know, man. It does seem like one of the keys to actual happiness is physical exhaustion at the end of every day. You
should just go cut trail. You should.
Yeah, right. You know what I did? You know what my dream job is in a way? Being a tour guide. Went on that tour of Coors. Yeah, I know. I wish you could make more than $12 an hour. They hire 21-year-olds for that. We went on a tour of Coors Brewery, the VIP tour. The tour guide was actually terrible, to a point that I will report it because it was awful. Not report. I'm going to give them some feedback. As a brand ambassador, this kid was awful. Could not understand a word he said because he spoke so fast and so mushmouth. I'm not kidding. Couldn't understand what he was saying. And like I said, on that VIP tour, people are interested. We do care that the four ingredients of beer are water and barley. And you couldn't understand him. I'm not kidding. And because it was the VIP tour, we didn't get a lot of time to read the signage, which is all there. Like you said, you can do a self-guided tour and learn it all by sight. We didn't get the chance to read. I was actually kind of annoyed by it. Listen, fine. I'm not going to. But I think I will give them some follow-up because that's not what they want. And I just went, this would literally be what I'm good at. It's everything I'm good at. Because you got to read the crowd. He didn't read the crowd. He was telling stupid jokes about himself the whole time that weren't funny. And man, that makes me. And I didn't tell him anything about it. I just sort of laughed politely. Oh my God, I just want to be a tour guide.
I'm thinking that maybe being the tour guide at Coors is not the best option. But if you went and hooked up with like a exclusive resorts or an Inspirato or one of those super fancy travel companies for rich people, maybe there's a market for a high class tour guide who's this guide stays with your group for the duration of your vacation.
Yeah, there are. That's a true job. What's Inspirato?
It's a travel company. It's a travel membership
I still
subscription thing.
I should still think that those would be like the pay. Your pay is that you get to travel. Maybe not, Andrew. I am not kidding. And I thought it on Maui, very, very flicker of a thing when I was on that boat going to Molokini. Like, this would literally be what I'm good at. I mean, I'm not a boat captain, and that guy was in charge of our safety and snorkeling and everything, but he was also a tour guide and telling it. And I went and had to, tell in there's a certain amount of performy, like, we're going to keep you safe. And they're telling the same shtick, but there is also a certain amount of learning your people and making everybody feel comfortable. My God, it's all I want to do. So, okay, let's look into that. I don't know what that means. Hey, listeners out there who aren't my first cousins, or if you are, who knows what connection we just said. Lane family's got it all covered. Help me with that. What's that? What's that job? I don't know. Maybe it's corporate training. Maybe that's the closest thing. But I'm not kidding. That has occurred to me. And seriously, walking through, I just wish I would do exactly what that guy did. I would do 8 tours a day. I think I would feel super happy, come home and sleep well, and still have time to do my other stuff. I would love that.
You don't think you'd get bored?
Nope. No, I mean, of course, jobs are always a grind. I mean, it's like doing 12 shows a week of A Christmas Carol. No, it's like a constant improv game. I mean, yeah, you'd get bored. And you know what? You'd also see that people suck. You would see people. Dealing with people can be real nasty. But I don't want to be a caterer because to me, people plus food, bad combination. I don't want to be an event planner. People plus food plus schedules plus traveling. Boo. The tour guide seems kind of contained. Yeah. And also you'd know what to do. You'd have your walkie-talkie. You'd know what to do if there was an emergency. I've seen a tour guide at Coors Field kick some drunk guys off of a tour. For real. Like call for backup and go, you got to go. No problem. It's like running a classroom. You know what I mean? Would it get boring? Sure. Teaching the same grammar lesson over and over gets boring, but not really because you're teaching it to a new crop of people and you kind of would forget what you'd said. That would probably be a problem if you did many in a day. You'd forget. Whatever. I like your idea even better of being a tour. I don't know, Andrew. I don't even know where to go with that. And it's embarrassing to kind of admit, I just want to be a tour guide. That seems like a dream job.
Well, I know Steven's girlfriend was a Segway tour guide in Washington, D.C. And
right.
In her story, she loved it.
Yeah, and she and I have a lot of those similar kind of communications thing in common. I know. Segway tour. I'm not kidding. Maybe you could make money. You know, all of those things are also like real gratuity base where you really shake them down for the cash tips at the end. Maybe I should look right here in Denver, like right that Billy Bob's bus tours and stuff.
You could start your own tour company, and then you wouldn't have to worry about making $12 an hour because you would be making the money on top of all those people you had trained to send out and do tours.
Okay, another thing that I thought of, and my friend thought of when I was saying this, like just, hey, I want to be a tour guide. What if I trained tour guides? Because that guy was really bad yesterday. I could shape that up. I could fix that. What if I'm the tour guide? Oh my God. Maybe I should just look for a real job. I don't know. But this is part of that, like parachute. It's like, well, I've just seen a need, Andrew. They had a bad tour guide and it made my experience not great. And I think they wouldn't want that for their brand representatives. I can come in and help you with that. I can help you make a stronger.
You can design the curriculum.
Yeah, I sure can.
You can teach them how to be personal and what jokes to make and what not.
Exactly. Give them improv classes. I have over my life taught, public speaking classes and helped out with like lectors at church and things like that. Oh my God. Okay. That's really, I have to cut that. No, it's not. No one wants to hear about my pretend dream job. I also once wanted to be a poet and a bread baker. So
we have that in common.
Yep.
And
exactly.
Now you've got some sourdough starter.
Oh my God. Okay, I got to get the bread. I got to get the thing. I need the instructions. I will bake some bread while you are gone as a test, just in case it fails. And then we're on. The competition is on.
Okay.
Not really. It's a friendly competition.
It's a competition. It's like watching turtles race or something. It's
exactly right.
Takes 3 days to make this stupid bread.
It's not. It's not a timed competition.
I know, but it's not.
And it's the product. We're going to have taste testers. We're going to have a panel of judges here at the Dollhouse. Really, it could be so many measures. I can't wait to start baking sourdough. I can't eat much of it. I don't eat many carbs. So I'm going to mostly be giving it away. But seriously, as we saw, very few people say no to freshly baked bread. They were so excited. You brought the ruckus to that party. You didn't bring the protein because you didn't hear my request for that because you were getting your manicure and pedicure done. Privately, you were in a quiet.
We were the only people in this nail salon.
That's right. And so it wasn't really a need to be quiet. You were just only half listening to me.
It was a quiet room. It was like, and when you're on the phone with someone and they can't talk and they're kind of like whispering at you, and you say, "Hey, can you tell me about your day?" It's good. It's good.
Yes,
it's really good. That's what I was doing, and I was very nervous because the Israeli women doing my they had my livelihood in their hands.
That's right. That's true. But all I was saying is, could you guys bring some Impossible version burgers for my other cousin Jenny, who's here, who's a vegan? And you were like, yeah, 100%, we can get some. No, you were like this. Yeah, no problem, but we can stop and get some. Yeah, that's great. And I was like, great, Jenny, your protein is coming, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then it didn't happen because you baked sourdough bread. You know what's the perfect conflation of all things and is, I guess, the most ruckusy in a bad way, Andrew? You came in today feeling badly about yourself, also bad physically because you're still hungover, a little bit sort of bad about a client because you're leaving on vacation, everything's a drama, and now I'm mad at you and giving you the business. I'm sorry. That's a lot on you, Andrew. Lucky you have a vacation straight
I've got
ahead.
Some time to go sort it all out.
I know. And I wish you well. I'm never really giving you a hard time. All right. Bye, Andrew.
Goodbye, Mrs. Filholm.